News Network, between the headlines. It is 5:55 p.m. in your nation's capital. 81 degrees, partly cloudy skies for July 21st. It's Tuesday, and we're about to get into the news that's been breaking today. But first, our White House rundown. Good evening. I'm Gary Franchi, Next News Network Chief White House Correspondent, delivering the latest White House news from the past 24 hours in partnership with Trump Daily Post. Tonight's lead centers on President Trump's Oval Office diplomacy with the Lebanese President Joseph Aoun, where the administration pushed implementation of a historic Israel-Lebanon framework while pairing peace efforts with pressure on Hezbollah. We'll also walk through the president's remarks on Iran, his plans to honor 3 fallen U.S. troops at Dover, and the White House push on jobs, tax relief, and election integrity. Now, according to the daily guidance, President Trump began Tuesday with executive time at 8 a.m. before a full White House schedule that included student athletes, a bilateral meeting with Lebanon's president, an afternoon policy session, and an evening greeting with House Republicans ahead of another policy meeting. At 10 a.m., the president greeted student athletes from Denison University in an event that was closed to the press. Then at 11 a.m., Lebanese President Joseph Aoun arrived at the White House for a high-level meeting with President Trump, underscoring a day focused on diplomacy and regional stability. In early remarks tied to that visit, President Trump praised Lebanon as a mistreated country with great intellect and pledged strong U.S. help as both sides work to deepen bilateral ties. During the same exchange, President Trump said Lebanon has been mistreated for a long time and cast the framework under discussion as a path towards peace and stability. And from there, the president broadened the conversation to regional security, warning that any Houthi blockade in the Red Sea would be handled if it materialized. Then he announced plans to travel to Dover Air Force Base to attend the dignified transfer of 3 U.S. troops killed in the Middle East, calling it an important duty to pay respects. Defense Secretary, or Department of War Secretary Pete Hegseth, also stressed that Iran has had every chance to come to the table, while President Trump described the blockade against Iran as a steel wall. In additional remarks, President Trump said the United States is not leaving the region now and made clear that any new Iranian nuclear site would be struck if necessary. He also said he is willing to speak with Hezbollah, emphasizing he's open to talking to everyone if it advances American interests and security. On trade, the president said he's still weighing tariffs on Canada, initially tying the pressure to poor forestry management amid wildfire concerns. He followed with a tougher warning on Iran, comparing the challenge to Venezuela, but calling Iran the bigger and more complex threat. On nuclear issues, President Trump said he is less focused on centrifuges than on nuclear material itself, and he flagged coming activity around what he called Pickaxe Mountain. As the gaggle wrapped at 11:42 a.m., the president also floated the possibility of direct flights between the United States and Lebanon. A routine pool update then circulated details from the news conference and follow-up materials as the morning event cycle closed. At 12:51 p.m., President Aoun departed the White House in a black Chevy SUV carrying U.S. and Lebanese flags. Shortly after, the pool signaled that advisor Massad Boulos would brief reporters at the Sticks following the Oval Office meeting. In that gaggle, Boulos said that President Trump and President Aoun showed strong chemistry and stayed focused on implementing what he called a historic agreement. He said Israeli redeployment in southern Lebanon will take time, and added that progress is being made on the Hezbollah question. Boulos then underscored the role of Christians in Lebanon, saying that their influence reaches beyond their numbers, and he pointed to treasury tools available to pressure Hezbollah while the broader framework gets a chance to work. He later described the Oval Office meeting as productive, highlighted President Trump's support for the Lebanese armed forces and economic cooperation, and said the agreement now being advanced is the first of its kind since 1949. On recent gunfire between Israeli and Lebanese forces, Boulos characterized the incident as warning shots and urged caution before rushing to judgment. Boulos also turned to Nigeria, saying that the United States is working with Nigerian institutions against ISIS and Boko Haram and backing religious freedom with continued support from AFRICOM coordination. By 1:36 p.m., the White House called a lunch lid until 2:30. In a White House statement issued later in the day, the administration marked the one-year anniversary of President Trump's Working Families Tax Cuts, crediting the law with sustaining nearly 6 million manufacturing jobs, preserving more than $1 trillion in output, and protecting $540 billion in wages across all 50 states. The administration highlighted full expensing for equipment and machinery, immediate R&D expensing, and full deductions for new and expanded factories as the engine behind the manufacturing revival. In a second White House statement, the administration hammered New Jersey's admission that a software glitch registered about 6,600 non-citizens to vote between 2023 and 2024, with hundreds casting ballots. The White House is using that failure to press for immediate passage of the Save America Act, which would require citizenship verification through DHS's SAVE system and voter ID in federal elections. That is the White House daily rundown across the past 24 hours. The Trump administration projected strength abroad, honored American sacrifice, pushed economic growth at home, and kept up its demand for secure elections and accountable government. Now let's move from the West Wing to the rest of the day's top stories and welcome you to the broadcast. Thank you for tuning in and trusting me with delivering the truth and defeating the spin from the mainstream media. We are broadcasting on all platforms today on X at Next News, as well as Trump Daily Post and our flagship YouTube channel, as well as on Rumble. So make sure you're following us on all platforms. We got some news we're going to get at. That Maine Democrats still making headlines. Podcast has just surfaced. It's going to blow your mind. We've got more details on day 10 in Iran and some massive fallout after Pocahontas decided to make an endorsement of a radical communist, just further highlighting the descent of the Democrat Party into a full-blown Communist Party because the takeover is happening from within, and they're not doing anything to stop it. We're also going to continue our coverage on the latest with the Save America Act. I know it's very important for you. It's important for me. Also, we're going to discuss going a little bit further into that whole communist angle that seems to be resurfacing with respect to Van Jones making some interesting remarks, issuing a warning to his own party. But I don't think they're going to listen. And we've also got more information on the massive move at the Pentagon that the president made just yesterday with an executive order. We did touch on that just briefly yesterday, and now we have more details as the news has simmered overnight. And if you haven't seen it yet, we just did a massive interview with Noble Gold Investments, and it's on the channel. You need to take a look at it. We dissected that entire segment with respect to the Treasury Secretary and his discussion about Fort Knox and curious remarks mentioning something that we don't often hear from the Treasury Department with respect to gold standard and silver-backed and gold-backed currencies. Also, another thing I need to flag for you guys, in that interview, we discussed some new developments with respect to what's going to happen on Friday with China, a major international move that I want to bring to your attention with respect to what they're doing with their currency as well as with gold. It's probably going to rock the markets this Friday. And then next week, we're going to be tracking what's going on with the Federal Reserve as the new Fed chairman is set to make some remarks, and we'll see where he goes with interest rates. People are speculating that those interest rates may be going up. And contrary to what President Trump has demanded of Chairman Powell, the previous Fed secretary, too late Powell, if you recall, that was President Trump's term for him, his nickname. And looks like Kevin Warsh may be following in Powell's footsteps, so I can imagine some fireworks when that Fed announcement is made next week. We'll be tracking that as well. So that's the basic rundown for the show today. Make sure you're tracking us on all platforms, and we're going to get right into our first story of the evening. I ran for office several times, didn't win. I'm a songwriter. That's what Ashley Webb said out loud when asked why Maine should send them to the Senate. And then topped it with, I'd be an angry senator. So stay with me because the book ratings make this even more humiliating. But the podcast appearance is actually the most disturbing. So I'm just an angry citizen now. I'd be an angry senator. Okay, that's the line. It's not a gaffe. That's Ashley Webb handing us the whole Democrat bench in one sentence. And look what Maine Democrats are pushing. Losing campaigns, identity theater, grievance, and zero competence. Then they want power over your laws, your border, your kids' schools, their bathrooms. I stopped it, didn't win, because that alone should end the conversation. But no, the machine keeps recycling activists and chaos agents, then demands respect. And that's how a party rots itself and still tries to run the country. Also breaking tonight, rising defense demand is intensifying pressure on Washington to secure the United States' critical mineral supply chain, with tungsten now a tungsten national security priority for fighter jets, tanks, missiles, drones, and ammunition. The United States has seen no U.S. commercial tungsten mining since 2015. The president's Project Vault includes a $12 billion strategic stockpile and $30 billion domestic production push, while the Pentagon has directed millions towards restarting U.S. tungsten production. Vault Strategic Mining, trading as KNOX in Canada and KNXFF in the United States, is targeting historic tungsten assets in mining-friendly U.S. jurisdictions, including Nevada's Great Basin, a historically productive tungsten region with approximately 10,000 feet of drilling, and a USGS estimate of roughly 168,000 tons of tungsten oxide, an estimated in-ground value of $30 to $50 billion. If you would like to know more, check out the Next News intelligence briefing that's been prepared for you. It's linked below. I am Ashley, a true story of growing up trans in a world that said I couldn't be her. That's the memoir title. And the public torched it with a 1 out of 5, 2 global ratings, 100%, 1 star. That's right. The voters are not confused, so let's get into the receipts. Now, we've been tracking this bizarre circus out of Maine since Graham Plattner's removal or resignation from his campaign. Because this new Maine Democrat, we'll start here, but when I get to the podcast, that's where it really just, everything just goes off the rails. All right, this clip here alone, I mean, Ashley Webb getting torched over this clip alone, but the podcast is coming up.
Webb, what qualifications do you have to serve in the U.S. Senate?
Oh, I ran for office several times. Didn't win, but I did run. And then I'm a songwriter, and then I write my own books, and then I suppose my transparency, I wouldn't lie to the people and I wouldn't deceive the people like we're being deceived right now. Like, we get lied to, smoke and mirrors, like what's going on with ICE. Pretending like these victims did something wrong. Like, that's unacceptable. And I suppose the biggest thing is, like, I'm just an angry citizen now, and if I got elected, I'd be an angry senator, and I think that would probably be their worst nightmare.
No, my worst nightmare is actually seeing you on my screen. So that is the Maine Democrats Senate resume. Lost races, songwriting, and books. And the songwriter claim gets even weirder because Ashley Webb also recorded a diss track on Chuck Schumer called Diet MAGA. And it's a banger.
She's a self-proclaimed songwriter, and we'll have you know that she's self-produced 4 albums. They haven't gone platinum yet, but maybe they will now.
Diet MAGA, Chuck Schumer. He's a real ass clown. Yeah. Oh, damn circus in a suit now.
Open your heart to Ashley, but whatever you do,
don't open your bathroom. From the Diet MAGA diss track to a whole new level of chaos, now Webb is on a podcast. making bizarre claims about birth records, hormones, and what was described as mucus. Democrat Maine Senate candidate Ashley Webb says he would produce a mucus while discussing his alleged cycle. The comment came as Webb was telling a bizarre story about his birth records got destroyed. Ugh. Okay, listen, guys, this is about 3 minutes, and it's like, I watched it earlier, and I couldn't look away. I mean, it was quite literally a train wreck. And sometimes you just have to stare. So I present to you Ashley Webb on the podcast with Amethysta Herrick, PhD, purple hair and all.
You have mentioned you're intersex. How did that end up coming about? How did you find all this out?
Through medical records that don't add up. And my birth records.
Okay. Wait, birth records?
Yep.
Can you explain that further? I don't want to.
So, when I was born, the hospital admin for the medical records signed off on the birth record. And they filed it, I'm pretty certain, a little bit over 30 days past my birth.
Oh, wow.
And then what they told my mother was they supposedly ran out of birth forms. Now, when I reached out to the town clerk of where I was born, I specifically asked them, "Oh, how many other birth certificates did this admin sign?" Turns out mine was the only one.
Oh, okay. Well, what was the why was there an issue? What happened? I guess I'm unsure what
That's
happened.
the issue that I'm running into is because, well, unfortunately, they only retained birth records for 20 years, and mine got destroyed. So now I'm not going to get an answer as to why they did that. But
oh gosh,
and the only reason why I started digging into it was because of I had a blood test drawn, and my estrogen was like 285 pgml, and that's with no hormones, just my own production.
Okay, that's significant. Okay, so how did you end up going to get like an estrogen level taken?
Where I was experiencing hot flashes, and I asked the doctor to run an estrogen test, and I guess they don't do that for.
You're saying so the idea being that you had ovaries, but or you have ovaries, I suppose that were generating estrogen, but not necessarily ovulating.
Oh,
That's what you're saying.
I don't know about the ovulation. Because I do get symptoms too that I was until I went on the estrogen patch, which went away completely.
Okay.
I would I would feel really good on like the 15th day of every cycle, and it was a 29-day cycle that I was experiencing.
I mean, this sounds pretty cycly there. So
and then
let me reach
during that time, I was gonna
go ahead.
During that time, like I also leak like a mucus, which they can't really explain.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. You want to call yourself transgender despite not necessarily knowing what all parts are inside?
Well, I mean, the doctors gave me the label, and I want to keep it because
I see.
Even if I'm intersex, like the intersex community pretty much tossed me out and didn't want to talk to me.
Oh. Any story there you want to finish?
I thought I had ovaries and possibly a uterus, and I was asking them, like, I have these CAT scans, can you take a look? And tell me what you think. And I guess it annoyed them, so they kicked me out.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, good welcoming community. Thanks.
Exactly. The trans community welcomed me without any issues.
Yeah. All right. So you call yourself transgender.
3-minute and 27-second train wreck right there. And that was strange enough on its own, but then came the receipts from inside the same community Webb was trying to impress. Next, you'll see the chat, screenshots, and accusations that these claims were being pushed directly to other users. Intersex joy. I'm so amazed to see this freak again, she writes, or they write, or... We dealt with them for much of 2025 when they joined our intersex community. They continuously claimed they had cervical mucus and offered to show it to people. along with other insane claims like ovulating, giving them a whole body orgasm. So here's some of the screenshots you can read. I'm going to let you read it. I don't even want to repeat this stuff. Read along with me. No, we're not going to do that. But there it is. You want the receipts? There are the receipts. Pause this video and you can watch it, zoom in, whatever you want. So after the chat logs and threats about damage that could be caused, the internet did what it did best. A viral parody clip mocking Maine Democrats for the kind of candidate they've put on the field. Looks like Graham Plattner and Ashley Webb are broadening their horizons.
I hate women. I just want to use the women's restroom.
Oh my God, I'm even embarrassed that this is on my screen. I'm sorry. There it is again. But the mockery didn't stop with one meme. Another parody makes the rounds, turning Webb into a pretty woman send-up with a bathroom meltdown punchline. Dr. Clown PhD has been on a tear today. I've gone so far as to actually reply several times. If you would like to see my replies, simply go to their account and you can read them for yourself. But instead of Julia Roberts, it's Ashley Webb in Pretty Woman.
Hi. Do you remember me?
No, I'm sorry.
I was in here yesterday. You wouldn't wait on me. Big mistake. Big, huge. Oh no, my period cramps are starting. Oh my God! Oh my God! My period started! Where's your bathroom? I'm bleeding!
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Yeah, we've really gone in the gutter today. From viral parody back to self-promotion, Webb didn't just run for office and write songs. Next, the memoir being pushed online, complete with dramatic title and story about growing up trans. Yeah, I tracked it down, decided to go on Amazon, and I actually found Maine Democrats Senator Ashley Webb, the angry songwriter one, wrote a book titled I Am Ashley, the true story of growing up trans in a world that said I couldn't be her. Claims to be born intersex, raised as a boy, fought her way out. So here's the actual listing. And it's actually, you can get on your Kindle for free if you want. So the book's out there, and viewers wasted no time weighing in. Next comes the Amazon scorecard, and it's not exactly a bestseller. Current rating 1 star, and there's 2 whole ratings actually. Both are 1-star ratings. 100%. The people have spoken. So here you go. Customer reviews 1 out of 5 stars. Yeah. How many customer review ratings this week? 2. But the 1-star average is rough, but the review section gets even harsher. Top review lays out a direct hit on Webb's claims and asks whether this is really the Maine Democrats' bench. It's a pure nuclear bomb. Quote, Ashley claims to be intersex but has a normal XY karyotype with no ovaries, uterus, or vagina. Even these organs, without these organs, Ashley also claims to have a monthly pain and bleeding expelled from the rectum. The singer-songwriter, author, and now politician needs a lesson in basic biology. That's the quote. 10 people already found the review helpful. That's the bench on the Maine Democrats. Here's the actual review. Titled Self-Delusion in Book Form That Is Meant to Deceive Others. Huge Hobbit is the book reviewer here. 10 people found it helpful. So, after the clips and the screenshots and the reviews, we're going to shift to a broader pattern of left-wing identity chaos. Newly released body cam from UCF shows a trans student's pronoun meltdown ending in pepper spray, a taser, and arrest. Fox News posted this gem. Stop misgendering me! Newly released body cam footage shows a trans University of Central Florida student's pronoun meltdown after a confrontation with police quickly spiraled into arrest. Jarrett Vick was ultimately charged with battery on a law enforcement officer, disorderly conduct, and resisting an officer with violence for the 2025 incident. Throughout the confrontation, Vick ignored police orders, repeatedly shouted female pronouns, and attempted to evade arrest. People say Vic became combative after they responded to reports of verbal altercation and were ultimately forced to use pepper spray, deploying a taser and handcuff. Oh, this is going to be good.
Say! Stop mass jiggling me! Just say! Why do you let those kids get away with this? They are not supposed to be here!
If you don't lower your voice, I am going to put handcuffs on you and I'm going to take you to a Baker Act facility. You lower your voice.
Try it.
Are you threatening me?
You're threatening me.
Can we get another unit to deal with Jay Lee here? He is having a breakdown.
Say! Just say the right pronoun!
What did you say?
7351.
Get down on the ground right now.
No!
You're about to get sprayed.
No,
Get down on the ground right now.
Leave me alone!
I can come in there.
Leave me alone, please!
Okay, are you going to calm down?
I'm getting my phone out. I have to film this. I want to get away from him.
No, it's too late now. It's too late now. He's going to be taken away.
Shay!
Bailey, you need to stop.
It's taken.
I just want to get away from him.
I understand that.
He needs
Shay! Stop mass jiggling me! Just say Shay!
For 73?
All right, let's get the taser going.
Can you please just tell them to use the right pronouns?
Here we go.
Please! You know it's causing me a
Put the
lot of
gloves on.
distress.
I need you to brain.
Here we go.
I'm going to spray him.
No, please don't say him! Her!
Okay, her. I'm going to spray her.
Thank you.
Put your hand behind your back.
Jalen, it's gonna hurt, man. Just give me your hand. He's not gonna tase you. You give me your hand.
You're gonna arrest me!
No.
You need your hand.
Yes, we need your hand.
I don't arrest me! No! Go!
Ride the lightning, bitch!
Give me your hand. Give me your hand.
Leave me alone!
Give me your hand.
Alone!
Look at his legs.
Give me your hand.
I got his legs. I got his legs.
Give me your hand. All right, give me your hand. Let go. Put your wrist. Relax him, okay? There you go.
We got him. Resistant.
And battery on Leo.
I had to tase him.
What is that supposed
I
to
tased
do?
him.
Comply.
Resisting battery on an officer and the crime of misgendering. There it is. But back to Ashley Webb. I ran for office several times, didn't win. I'm a songwriter. I write my own books. That was Ashley Webb's Senate pitch, and Maine Democrats still put the circus in front of voters, while the top review blasted the memoir for needing a lesson in basic biology. You can feel the whole Democrat machine in that one collapse. Identity performance over merit, delusion over competence, spectacle over the republic. And then they scream, "Stop misgendering me," when reality refuses to kneel. Maine Democrats, they pull Ashley Webb off this clown car Senate fantasy, and you need to answer for it. You insulted voters with a candidate who bragged about losing races, writing songs, and self-publishing "I'm Ashley, a true story of growing up trans in a world that said I couldn't be like her." That qualifies anyone to shape federal law, right? And when the public checked the book, what did they find? 1 out of 5. 2 global ratings, 100%, 1 star. That's not the establishment talking, that's the people, or one person, hammering a fraud. So yes, laugh at the circus because it deserves ridicule, then hit share, drop a comment, and force this clip into every corner Maine Democrats wish they could hide from. Trump's movement exists to crush this decadent nonsense and put sanity back in charge. Now, Ashley Webb's angry Senator meltdown is exactly the kind of story the censors love to bury. Our White House team is sending more tonight. So text White House to 844-840-4963. Next News Network is credentialed inside the White House, and our nightly reports come straight from inside the building to your phone before YouTube buries the feed. Okay, that was 20 minutes long. Was not expecting to spend that much time on Ashley Webb today. Spent enough time in the research phase. I need to check on my X posts on Dr. Clown. That was just disturbing today. Maybe I should check. Let's see what Dr. Clown is saying here while Brian gets a sit up for Dr. Clown PhD. I mean, you just look at some of these posts here. I mean, this guy is on a tear today. It's just one after another. Oh, look who we got. look who it is. Oh, no. This one's already got a meme. No way, dude. Oh, this is just too funny. Star Wars, but instead of Carrie Fisher, it's Ashley Webb. Oh, don't. I can't do it. Oh, it's just one after another here. This is the one I replied to. Let's see. Did he respond? Oh, I'm so sorry, Carrie. What would you like me to do? I said, Dear Dr. Clown, please stop making these. It is disrupting my experience on X today. Every time I open the app, your memes show up and I can't look away until I projectile vomit. This has happened twice today. I physically cannot work under these conditions. Yeah. Okay. We got more news to get to, so we're going to go ahead and keep the real news flowing right along. Okay. We're going into some serious news now. We got to talk about what's happening in Iran as the day 10 of phase 2 continues. Ten straight nights of U.S. strikes and Iran hits a tanker off Oman. Let that sink in. Trump is pounding the IRGC every single night, and the Ayatollah still lashes out at civilian shipping like a cornered terrorist thug. And wait until you hear what Trump said next. Quote, "We've been nice." Now, CENTCOM is reporting that 900 commercial vessels and 450 million barrels of crude moved safely since early May. Now, that number stopped me cold because this is the Strait of Hormuz. It's not some side skirmish. The Ayatollah's regime keeps trying to choke the whole artery. While fake news keeps pretending deterrence never works, Trump's forces are hammering Iranian command centers, air defenses, missile and drone launch sites, and even maritime capabilities. You watch the list and tell me this isn't how adults protect American troops, energy flows, and global commerce. And also breaking now, near record tungsten prices are intensifying pressure on Washington to secure the United States critical mineral supply chain as tungsten becomes a national security priority for fighter jets, tanks, missiles, drones, and ammunition. With no U.S. commercial tungsten mining since 2015, Project Vault backs a $12 billion strategic stockpile and $30 billion domestic production push, while the Pentagon directs millions towards restarting U.S. tungsten production. Vault Strategic Mining, trading as KNOX in Canada and KNXFF in the United States, is reviving historic tungsten assets right here in mining-friendly United States jurisdictions, including proven former mines in Nevada's Great Basin, which is a historically productive tungsten region. The site carries a Second World War defense-related exploration contract, approximately 10,000 feet of drilling, and a USGS estimate of roughly 168,000 tons of tungsten oxide with an estimated in-ground value of $30 to $50 billion. To find out more, check out the Next News intelligence briefing that's been prepared for you. You'll find it linked below. Now, Secretary Bessent said that China's Iranian crude purchases, they dropped by about 40%. That's the part the mullahs and their media helpers hate. Because Trump isn't just blasting launch sites. He's gutting Tehran's cash pipeline and its nerve at the same time. Now watch the receipts because the tweets get even nastier for Iran, especially with this newly declassified footage we're about to show you. We have this. U.S. forces struck Iran for the 10th straight night as an Iranian attack on a tanker off Oman forced the crew to evacuate. Maritime groups have reported. Let's check in on this report.
Night of heavy U.S. strikes against Iran. This was the 10th consecutive night aimed at degrading Iran's ability to threaten the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. Central Command posted overnight about those strikes and their operations in the region, saying since early May, CENTCOM forces have helped facilitate the transit of approximately 900 commercial vessels and 450 million barrels of crude oil. They went on to say American forces remain postured and prepared to hold Iran accountable for unwarranted aggression towards civilian mariners seeking to freely and openly transit the strait. Early this morning, Iran attacked another tanker off the coast of Oman, forcing the crew to evacuate the vessel, according to maritime tracking groups. This does come after President Trump issued a new warning to the regime about killing American forces in the Middle East. The commander-in-chief said every time Iran kills an American soldier, they will pay for that killing many times over.
So that was night 10, with Tehran still targeting civilian shipping off Oman. Now, look at what CENTCOM says. U.S. forces hit next command centers, air defenses, and the missile and drone sites behind the regime's attacks. U.S. forces continue to strike after the regime killed multiple American service members during attacks over the weekend. The latest operation targeted command centers, air defense, missile drone launch sites, and maritime capabilities. Video. We'll have more on that in a little bit. That's from CENTCOM. So you saw the broader target list from CENTCOM. Here is the strike footage zeroing in on those Iranian command centers and launch sites. The declassified footage now made public. Wow. I'm curious as to why these weren't hit first. Like, why now? It seems like these... They should have just wiped out everything at one time, not even let them have any capability. So the targeting feeds show the campaign is hitting the regime where it operates. Now we move to Shiraz, where open source intel says the IRGC's Tharala base took a direct hit. Let's take a look at this. Some of the footage that's coming in from the Middle East right now, open source intel. So after the reported hit on the IRGC base, the pressure isn't only military. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says China's oil buys from Iran have dropped by nearly half, and that is hammering the mullahs. Announces they've dropped, and it's wreaking havoc. Let's check in with the Treasury Secretary.
Oil, the Chinese in general, of the prices and because they have a very large strategic petroleum reserve, have dropped their purchases of crude over the past few months by about 40%, and that's directly pressuring the Iranian regime. And we put the blockade back, and I tell you, the blockade is powerful financially, but I think it's also very powerful psychologically. It cuts Iran off from the rest of the world, and we also had the ability to interdict the Iranian dark fleet once they are out in the Pacific.
Yeah, that's incredible. We're going to be watching all of that. Secretary, I want to move on to AI because, of course.
So there is the Treasury Secretary weighing in. The regime getting squeezed in the air and its wallet. Next, President Trump makes clear he's ready for another front, warning the Houthis that if they try a Red Sea blockade, the U.S. will handle it. We covered this yesterday, the Houthis warning, and now the president reacting from the Oval Office.
Level of concern of a blockade of the Red Sea by the Houthi rebels, opening up another front in the war.
See what happens. So far, it hasn't happened. It might happen, but we take care of things. If something like that happens, we take care of it. You know, we've done that with the Houthis before, and we haven't heard from them in a while since we did what we did originally. That was about 45 days of very powerful action we took against the Houthis. And we've had no problem with the Houthis. They've had no problem with us for a long period of time, including during this conflict. I think that if there is something like that, we'll just have to take care of business.
And Trump will take care of business. They're about to FAFO. Yeah, I want to see them try it. Their Navy will be at the bottom of the sea like Iran's. So Trump's message was simple: try it, and he gets shut down. Then he turned to the propaganda press and ripped ABC for pretending Iran isn't feeling the pain. President Trump nuking ABC's fake news Mary Kay Bruce.
There are no signs that Iran is ready to stop fighting. So what is the plan? Is the plan to just keep bombing until they give up?
There are no signs. What, do you know something that I don't know?
Will they continue to attack our allies and
You
kill
don't know
Americans?
what the dialogue is behind the scenes, that they want to meet desperately to try and end it because they're getting decimated. You don't get that when you listen to your fake station, but you don't know. You don't know anything.
So talks are
do you know
still
something that I
possible,
don't know? Do you know something I don't know?
Well, tell us.
I will tell you, they want to desperately meet, and until they're ready to meet in a meaningful way, we have no interest in even.
So after torching ABC fake news, Trump's team lays out the doctrine even more plainly. Up next, the war secretary says Iran has every chance to negotiate, and now U.S. forces are hitting them 10 times harder.
Something no president's been willing to do. 47 years, they build up a conventional capability like the North Koreans did. Remember, that's how North Korea made their way to a bomb. So much weaponry that no one was willing to stand up to them. President Trump was, and it continues to this day. Iran's been given every opportunity to negotiate, to show that they're reasonable on the Strait of Hormuz. But if they're going to shoot at commercial shipping, then we're going to hit them, as the president said, 10 times harder, which every night we're degrading them further and further. And the president has all the options necessary. If they want to talk, they can talk. Otherwise, they can deal with the War Department, and we're prepared to do that.
They can deal with the War Department. And that's the White House line. Negotiator get degraded night after night. Next, Trump raises the stakes again with a blunt warning on any Iranian effort to rebuild nuclear sites.
And we will absolutely attack. The new site that they're talking about. I mean, how about these people? They're in this because of nuclear weapons, and they're trying to possibly reconstitute a site. We'll hit that site. Any site where they're even thinking about nuclear, we'll be hitting it very, very powerfully. Now, nobody knows, except the Iranians, the damage that we've done to them. We have done damage that will take them 20, 25 years to recover from. So if we left tomorrow, we had a big success. But we're not leaving tomorrow.
We're not leaving. You heard Trump say any nuclear rebuild gets crushed, and he wasn't done. Next comes the line that says exactly how much restraint he thinks Washington has shown so far.
If we left today, it would take them decades to rebuild, and I don't believe they could ever rebuild. And honestly, they haven't seen anything yet. We've been nice. We've been nice.
We've been nice. So Trump says Iran hasn't seen the full force yet, and while that warning hangs over Tehran, CENTCOM shows the muscle behind it, with USS Mason operating in regional waters, conducting a replenishment at sea while sailing in regional waters.
Obviously, it was 25
Indicate 15 knots.
Indicate 15.
You don't know anything. They wanted to desperately meet. Trump snapped at ABC's Mary Bruce after the 10th straight night of strikes, and that line lands even harder when you stack it next to the IRGC Tharala base in Shiraz, the tanker crew forced to evacuate off Oman, and Trump's warning that any nuclear rebuild gets hit very, very powerfully. The Ayatollahs started this by murdering Americans, and now Trump is ripping the regime's war machine apart while fake news gets humiliated in real time. So the Ayatollah Khomeini, and well, he's no longer with us, but ABC, they owe the country an answer. How many more nights of humiliation do they need before they admit Trump's doctrine works? 10 straight nights, command centers hammered, air defenses busted, missile and drone launch sites scorched, the IRGC's base hit, and while Tehran attacks a tanker off Oman like a collapsing pirate state, CENTCOM keeps 900 commercial vessels and 450 million barrels of crude moving right along. That is American power back on the water where it belongs. So hit share, drop your take in the comments, and make every fake news clown who called strength escalation sit there and watch deterrence work. Iran killed American service members. Trump made the cost unbearable. Good. And if the mullahs even think about rebuilding a nuclear site, he already told them what happens. The 10th straight night over Iran is exactly why you want our inside track tonight. Text White House to 844-840-4963. Next News Network is credentialed inside the White House, and our nightly reports hit your phone straight from the press pool, ahead of the crowd and past YouTube suppression. All right, moving right along. That's the latest out of Iran. And now we're going to shift gears into Elizabeth Warren's wild endorsement and the further collapse of the Democrat Party. And we're going to go into greater detail about some of the warnings of the collapse in a later segment. But I wanted to focus on this bizarre new candidate that has just shown up. And I mean, Elizabeth Warren's endorsement of Graham Plattner didn't really turn out too well. I'm not sure this one's going to turn out any better. Elizabeth Warren called Abdul El-Sayed the fighter Michigan needs for Senate. So stop right there. Warren just strapped herself to the guy who said ICE has to be abolished and bragged we take them to the mud and choke them out. This is the Democrat mask coming off in Michigan, and wait until you hear who else torched him. So Speaker Mike Johnson, he warned it's not a game. We're not going to turn this country into a communist experiment. That line hits harder when Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and AOC push Abdul El-Sayed in a seat that patriots can flip with Trump-backed Mike Rogers. Now look at the stack here. El-Sayed wants ICE abolished, pushes socialized medicine, and pulls in $700,000 a year while posing as an anti-elite crusader. You and I know exactly what Michigan is watching now. A Democrat Party civil war that exposes the entire scam. Also breaking now out of Washington, near record tungsten prices and new pressure to reduce reliance on China are accelerating Washington's push to harden the critical mineral supply chain. Tungsten is now a tungsten national security priority used in fighter jets, tanks, missiles, drones, and ammunition. Yet the United States has seen no U.S. commercial tungsten mining since 2015. President Trump's Project Vault includes a $12 billion strategic stockpile and $30 billion domestic production push, while the Pentagon has directed millions towards restarting U.S. tungsten production. Vault Strategic Mining, trading as KNOX in Canada and KNXFF in the United States, is targeting historic tungsten assets in mining-friendly U.S. jurisdictions, including Nevada's Great Basin. The district carries a USGS estimate of roughly 168,000 tons of tungsten oxide and an estimated in-ground value of $30 to $50 billion. To find out more, check out the Next News intelligence briefing that's been prepared for you, linked below. Now, John Fetterman called Abdul El-Sayed essentially a pro-Hamas candidate and a phony. A Democrat senator just blew a hole through the media makeover machine while Warren keeps cheering this guy on. Now, that split screen is brutal. Now let's walk through the receipts that they just can't hide. Elizabeth Warren.
I'm endorsing Abdul El-Sayed for Senate in Michigan. Abdul is the only candidate in this race not taking corporate money, and he's fighting to get money out of politics altogether. Abdul studied to be a doctor, and he's fighting for every single American to have affordable, high-quality health care. Abdul has been a card-carrying union member, and he's fighting for working people. That's why he's endorsed by the United Auto Workers, and he's growing a movement of working people all across Michigan. And that's why I'm endorsing Abdul. He is the fighter Michigan needs in the Senate.
Just like Maine, right? Maine, Graham Plattner, your endorsement there turned out real good. I'm sure endorsing a terrorist isn't going to help you any better either. So let's continue. That's Elizabeth Warren right there. Going all in for Abdul El Sayed. Now watch what kind of candidate she's promoting, because he says flat out, ICE can't be reformed and has to be abolished. Here we go with the same talking points.
ICE has nothing to do with immigration. ICE has nothing to do with the southern border. ICE is about normalizing paramilitary force on our streets. ICE is about weaponizing the idea of immigration against the Constitution itself. ICE cannot be reformed. ICE cannot be retrained. ICE has to be abolished. You're not getting another dime of our money. Not one more dime.
This guy's dangerous, man. And you just heard him demand the end of ICE. Next, the fallout inside the Democrat Party, where AOC and Bernie are pushing him anyway, and the party bosses are worried he'll blow a Senate seat. Democrats are facing a huge civil war. Eric Doherty reports from the communists in Michigan. AOC and Bernie Sanders infuriating Chuck Schumer by pushing Abdul El Sayed for Senate. Dems worry he will lose to Trump-backed Mike Rogers. Big Democrat dollars are flooding in the race to try and defeat the socialists. AOC is rushing in to blow up the Democrat Party, and she could cost them a crucial Senate seat. Bernie Sanders pushed Graham Plattner, who got demolished. Now he's pushing Abdul. Defeat the socialist Muslim and get Mike Rogers elected. Let's take a look at this post from Fox.
The U.S. Senate candidate, Abdul El Sayed. He is very, very progressive, highly progressive. He's a Democrat. He wants Medicare for all, wants to get money out of politics, he thinks that the billionaires have corrupted the political system. He wants a 7% wealth tax.
So what you're seeing now is there's a big push on mainstream Democrats to stop him from winning. They don't think he could beat Mike Rogers. They don't think Michigan is going socialist. They think there's a blue-collar aspect, working-class aspect they're very proud of in Michigan as well, and they're not willing to go that direction. Democrats, realizing they're in trouble, see momentum that he has with younger people, overeducated younger people, and they were scrambling to stop him flooding his opponent with money. And then Bernie Sanders and AOC's try to push back. So there is a subtle civil war going on big time, and it's happening first and foremost in Michigan.
Here's Bernie Sanders.
Brothers and sisters, let me tell you, change is coming. Progressives have been defeating establishment candidates all across America. And whether they like it or not, we're going to win here in Michigan. I know that in some of the media, they talk about me, they talk about Abdul, they talk about Alexandria as far, far left, extremist, communist, this and that. And I don't have to tell the people of Grand Rapids or Detroit or Michigan, you've been breathing that filthy air from the forest fires. And Abdul will understand that we can create millions of good-paying union jobs by transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy.
But what is it going to cost you? You can't be green energy and be pro-affordability as well. We've seen it in these progressive states. They want these energy policies, but it doesn't bring the cost of energy down. So maybe they should tell the voters when they're talking about affordability that they planned on raising the prices of energy.
Right. This guy.
Folks, we need a red firewall against the red invasion that's on our soils right now. So that clip shows the Democrats civil war in plain sight, with the socialist wing trying to drag Michigan even further left. Now, even Democrat Senator John Fetterman jumps in, calling El Sayed an anti-American, anti-Israel, and a phony.
Socialist in place of Graham Plattner that they're rallying behind. What do you think of him?
Yeah, no, it's hilarious. You know, Bernie is there campaigning for this guy. You know, humble yourself, Bernie. You know, you just push an accused rapist and imploded up in Maine, and now you're pushing, essentially a pro-Hamas candidate that's been anti-American and deeply anti-Israel. He's a socialist that earned $700,000 last year. His wife, in private practice, she refuses to accept Medicaid for that. I mean, he's a phony, and he has said incredibly anti-American thing.
Wow. John Fetterman, man. This guy surprises me every single time I see him. Every single time. He's the only voice of reason in the Democrat Party these days. So he didn't hold back there, and the criticism isn't just coming from one corner up. Up next, Ken Paxton says El-Sayed is cut from the same cloth as other far-left Democrats trying to rebrand themselves.
You see a bright contrast between someone like Abdul El-Sayed running in Michigan and James Tallarico running against you here in Texas?
No, they're the same. It's just that James can't run like they run in Michigan or New York. He realized that. He did in the primary. I mean, his positions on trans and kids, fighting any attempts to protect children, his push for boys and girls sports, his voting against the state income tax, voting for state income tax. Now he's trying to portray himself completely different because he knows that he can't run like they run in Michigan. He can't run like Mondani ran in New York, but his views are very similar.
Talking about James Tallarico there. But his point is simple. The packaging changes, but the agenda stays radical. Meanwhile, Speaker Mike Johnson draws the bigger line, warning Republicans this fight is about stopping a communist experiment in America.
For millions of working families. We've demonstrated that over and over. We'll continue to do it this week and in the days ahead. And that is why we're going to win decisively in the midterms. This is not a game. We're not going to turn this country into a communist experiment. We're going to maintain the greatest country in the history of the world. Take a few questions. Go over here.
Thank you, Speaker Mike Johnson. It's not a game. And the reason is easy to see. Next, more on El-Sayed's champagne socialist problem, including reported household incomes that puts him miles away from the Michigan families Democrats claim to represent.
Disclosures show that these champagne socialists are hypocrites. Senate candidate Abdul El-Sayed and his wife make more than 9 times the average Michigan household, while Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar's financial records reveal her campaign spent tens of thousands of dollars on luxury food and high-end hotels. Tommy, I'm going to start with you.
So after the money hypocrisy, the rhetoric gets even uglier. Now listen to El-Sayed tell supporters that when opponents go low, Democrats should take them to the mud and choke them out.
We need Democrats who have the courage to stand up to the power brokers in our own party, let alone Trump and his goons. We don't back down. We don't back down. We don't back down. With all due respect, if they go low, we don't go high. We take them to the mud and choke them out.
ICE has to be abolished. It came out of Abdul El-Sayed's own mouth, and Elizabeth Warren still stamped him the fighter that Michigan needs. That's the whole indictment right there. Warren, Bernie Sanders, AOC are not getting fooled by some fresh face. They are deliberately trying to plant an anti-law enforcement socialist in a Senate seat. Well, Democrats panic and Trump world watches them torch themselves. Abdul El-Sayed needs to answer for ICE has to be abolished, for mud and choke them out, and for that $700,000 champagne socialist hypocrisy right now. Don't let Elizabeth Warren and the Michigan Democrat machine wrap this radical in blue-collar packaging and slide him past voters like he's some harmless reformer. He's not. He's the party's true face. Open border fanaticism, anti-cop poison, class war theater, and thug rhetoric with a polished smile. So hit share and drop a comment and put Fetterman's own words, a phony and pro-Hamas candidate, right in front of every so-called moderate still running cover for this circus. Michigan can bury this scam, and with Trump-backed Mike Rogers in the fight, patriots have a real shot to flip the seat and humiliate the socialist wing in public. Now, Warren's El-Sayed endorsement is exactly the kind of story the gatekeepers choke on. So text the words White House to 844-840-4963. Next News Network is credentialed inside the White House, and our nightly reports land straight on your phone from inside the building. First look, no algorithm, no suppression, just the insider channel. The chaos in Michigan is only going to grow. We're going to keep tracking that communist and the people who endorse those views, because we do need to have a red firewall against this communist uprising inside our own nation. The enemies of freedom are on our soil, my friends. They're running for office, they're running cable news channels, and we're fighting them every single step of the way here at the Next News Network. Okay, so we're going to move now into the latest on the voter ID fight. Okay, this is where we need to be. We need to be focused on getting the Save America Act passed. So let's get into it. Marsha Blackburn just dropped at 71% of Democrats back voter ID. And Chuck Schumer is blocking a bill his own side's voters support because clean elections gut the machine. Wait until you hear Steve Scalise's Olive Garden line. He torched the whole scam in just one shot. Now we're talking about 5 felony charges that hit Arcola Democrat Mayor Fred Anthony Burton in Texas. Illegal voting, fraud, tampering with government records. That's not theory, that's the pattern that's staring us in the face while Chuck Schumer stalls the Save America Act and Sidney Kamlager Dove insults women by acting like showing ID is impossible. Then you stack Blackburn's numbers on top, 83% of Americans, 71% of Democrats, and I'm telling you, they're not fighting voter ID because it's extreme, they're fighting it because loose rolls and weak guardrails feed their operation. And also developing tonight, near-record tungsten prices are intensifying pressure on Washington to rebuild the U.S. critical mineral supply chain as tungsten national security priority for fighter jets, tanks, missiles, drones, and ammunition becomes front and center. The United States has seen no U.S. commercial tungsten mining since 2015. Project Vault, the president's project, includes a $12 billion strategic stockpile and $30 billion domestic production push, while the Pentagon has directed millions towards restarting U.S. tungsten production. Vault Strategic Mining, trading as KNOX in Canada and KNXFF in the United States, is targeting historic tungsten assets in mining-friendly U.S. jurisdictions, including Nevada's Great Basin, a historically productive tungsten region with approximately 10,000 feet drilled, and the USGS estimate points to roughly 168,000 tons of tungsten oxide and an estimated in-ground value of $30 billion to $50 billion. It's reliable supply outside of China that matters. Make sure you check out the Next News intelligence briefing that's been prepared for you. It's linked below. Now, Steve Scalise said you can't get pasta at Olive Garden without a picture ID. And that one landed because it shattered the whole Democrat script in plain English. If you need ID for breadsticks, but not for a ballot, the con is the point. Now we're going to show you the receipts that they're scrambling from. Here is Steve Scalise dropping it perfectly. We covered the Olive Garden angle yesterday, and now it's made its way into the halls of Congress.
Go anywhere in the Senate. They've got serious problems over there getting bills moved, just the appropriations bills to fund basic functions of government. They can't get 60 votes to take the bill up and start debating it, let alone to pass it. So when you think about something like Save America, which is at the heart of democracy, just saying, show picture ID to vote. For God's sake, you can't go get pasta at Olive Garden without a picture ID. Why not be able to show a picture ID to vote, the franchise of American democracy? And the Senate can't get 60 votes to move it. So we're sending them this idea in a bill that only needs 51 votes. And look, at some point, the Senate's going to have to take this up and find a way to get it to the president's desk. It's an 85-15 issue with the American public. Everybody, Democrats, Republicans, black, white, understand this. You get on an airplane, you show an ID. Shouldn't you show an ID to vote when some states actually ban the people at the polls from asking you for an ID, so you don't even know who the people are that are showing up? And it undermines the integrity of the vote. So we're going to get that bill back over to the Senate in a new form. At some point, they've got to pass that bill.
That's the game plan. They're trying every single maneuver they can. He lays it out. Voter ID is basic common sense, and the Senate keeps slow walking it. Now Mike Johnson says House Republicans are pushing the next step with a streamlined package to force the issue.
The Democrats' absolute refusal to work with us on the nation's top priorities, and that includes election integrity and strengthening our nation's defense. We're moving forward with a narrow, streamlined package to deliver on some of America's top priorities. It is a sad situation. This is where we are. Republicans have to do this on our own.
They're trying, guys. They really are. They're trying every single trick in the book to get this passed. So Johnson says Democrats refuse to come to the table, even with broad support for election integrity. Next, an RNC advisor makes the simple case only U.S. citizens should be voting in U.S. elections.
Very important that we follow President Trump and that we follow, of course, voters across the want safe and secure elections and get the Save America Act passed. It's very important. We've got to clean voter rolls. We have to make sure that U.S. citizens are the only ones voting in U.S. elections. It's pretty common sense. And so I really hope that it would not force a government shutdown. And I certainly hope that the House and the Senate can pass the Save America Act and put it on the president's desk.
That's what we're praying for. So that's a common sense argument from the GOP side: clean rolls and secure the vote. But up next, a Democrat congresswoman goes on CNN and claims the SAVE Act would block women from voting. Democrat Representative Sidney Kamlager-Dove lies about the Save America Act and thinks women are too stupid to get voter ID. Why is she trying to protect the over 270,000 non-citizens who are registered to vote?
They see a speaker who has no shame and who is pushing forward bills that are going to hurt the American people, like the SAVE Act, which isn't going to save anyone. In fact, it would prevent a lot of women from being able to vote, and it would put our identity at risk if you now have to send in a copy of your ID with your mail-in ballot.
Oh, man. Have you ever tried to open up a bank account? Right? They ask for your ID, right? What about those apps that make you scan your face, right? Scan your ID just so you can trade crypto. But women are just too stupid to do any of that. But that's a spin job. Senate Republicans are taking the fight straight to the floor. Marsha Blackburn is about to drop the number Democrats do not want you hearing. 71% of their own voters back voter ID. And let's go here.
It's incredible that we're on the floor having to make the case for this legislation. The bill's provisions are really common sense, and as I said, this is something the American people have said, we want this. We want to preserve one person, one vote, and preserve the integrity of the electoral system. Now, the legislation that is before us would really accomplish three major objectives in securing our elections. It would require voters to present an ID to cast a ballot. Now, as I said, this is overwhelmingly popular. You've got 83% of all Americans. Now, for my colleagues across the aisle, 71% of the Democrats support this. They want people to have to prove that they are indeed who they claim to be. Also, our legislation would require people to be a U.S. citizen in order to vote in our elections. And it would require the states to remove non-citizens who have somehow ended up on their voter rolls. These are all common sense, every one of them, common sense. There is nothing objectionable about these measures. It is common sense, and these are sensible, easily understood, and easily implemented ways to make certain that we are protecting our electoral system. Many Republican states already enforce these safeguards. Tennessee, my home state, Tennessee leads the nation in election integrity. Now, if every state was like Tennessee, there would be no need for the Save America Act. But for years, we have seen blue states practically invite fraud into their elections. 14 states, including California, New York, Illinois, Massachusetts, Minnesota, do not require any form of ID to vote. Many more states accept ID that is non-photo. Now, think about that. 14 states. If you live in one of those states, you do not have to prove anything in order to go vote in their elections. It is open season. So my question would be, how does that type system, no ID required, just come on and vote, everybody welcome, the polls are open, it doesn't matter if you're a citizen or a non-citizen, come cast your ballot. So you've got these states that require no ID, and you've got other states that will have non-photo ID that they will accept. Now, at the same time, 24 states, and again, they're overwhelmingly blue, that's 24 states, refuse to work with DHS to compare their voter rolls with the federal SAVE database, which verifies the immigration status of registered voters. Now, that is a system, that's a database at the Department of Homeland Security. And this SAVE system has that listing of non-citizens who are in our country. People that are on student visas, people that are on work visas, people that are permanent legal residents, people that are in the country illegally. But you know what? Not a single one of those individuals are entitled to vote. So, free of charge, any state can log into this system. President Trump has made it easy for the states. And then they can take their voter roll and they can check it against the SAVE system. States that do this have found thousands of individuals. Maybe they've got a driver's license, and maybe during that process they registered to vote. But Mr. President, they're not entitled to vote. So those are the individuals that need to be removed from this system. I will point out there is no other developed nation that leaves their elections so vulnerable to fraud and manipulation. So to defend themselves, Democrats claim that voter fraud is very rare. Well, President Trump's Thursday night address on election integrity showed just how much voter fraud we have. According to a DHS review of state voter rolls, there are approximately 278,000 non-citizens registered to vote in our elections. The last 3 presidential elections were decided by fewer than 270,000 votes. The president noted that this figure is likely an undercount because Democrat states refuse to share their voter files with the administration. Democrats do not care. They are perfectly content with voter fraud.
Perfectly content with voter fraud. That's Senator Marsha Blackburn there on the Senate floor. So we move along now. The part the media loves to bury. A Texas Democrat mayor arrested on 5 felony charges tied to voting and records fraud. Another day. This is from Sassafras 84. Another day, another Democrat mayor caught red-handed. Arcola, Texas, Mayor Fred Anthony Burton arrested on 5 felony charges, including illegal voting, fraud, tampering with government records, local Democrat corruption on full display. How many more before they admit it's a pattern? Another example of local Democrat corruption, and there's the mugshot. And that arrest is exactly why Americans don't trust the left to police itself. Next, take a look at Taiwan, a top economy that still uses paper ballots, in-person voting, and public hand counts. That's how they do it in Taiwan, folks. They can't do it here, right? They show you, don't need excuses or election gimmicks. You just need transparency. Now Johnson brings it back home, tying election security to defense and agriculture, while Democrats are daring to explain their agenda. He posted this week, we're moving forward with the Save and Protect America Act to deliver on securing our elections, strengthening our national defense, supporting our farmers. Ultimately, Democrats will have to explain to the American people why they continue putting their communist agenda ahead of America's national security. Quote, we want to preserve one person, one vote, Marsha Blackburn said on the Senate floor. And that line cornered Chuck Schumer, Sidney Kamalger-Dove, and every Senate Democrat hiding behind procedure, because when 71% of Democrats support voter ID and they still block it while over 270,000 non-citizens sit on voter rolls, they're not protecting rights. They're protecting dilution of lawful American votes. So Chuck Schumer put the Save America Act on the floor and vote. No more ducking, no more procedural smoke. John Thune, are you listening? No more lectures from Democrats who want us to believe that women can't handle an ID and citizens just trust the system with over 270,000 non-citizens on voter rolls. House Republicans under Mike Johnson passed this 3 times. President Trump made it clear elections should not be partisan. Marsha Blackburn brought the numbers that blow the Democrat lie apart. 83% of Americans, 71% of Democrats back voter ID. So let's make this simple. Every legal voter counts. Every illegal ballot gets blocked. And every senator who opposes that should answer for it on camera. Now share this with somebody still buying the Schumer spin and drop your take below and keep the pressure on until this bill hits Trump's desk. And Blackburn's 71% number is exactly the kind of receipt that YouTube loves to bury. So text White House to 844-840-4963. Next News Network is credentialed inside the White House, and our nightly reports come straight from the press pool to your phone. Inside access, ahead of the crowd, and past the suppression. Oh boy. I mean, how long have we been talking about the Save America Act? Months and months and months. I got tired of covering it for some time. I'm like, are we still talking about this? Is this still happening? It's been going on all year. And what's also been going on is the infiltration of the Democrat Party by the communists, who have injected their brainwashing into the public. And certain members of the Democrat Party are starting to sound the alarm. They're getting very nervous because they realize their party is under assault. And there's probably no turning back at this point. Van Jones just said the Democrat ideas are literally insane, nutty, moronic, dangerous, and bigoted. So stop right there. CNN's own guy just ripped the mask off his party. When you stack that confession next to Hassan Piker parading around in a Mao-style suit, you can feel the whole scam cracking. And wait until you hear who's cheering the takeover. Quote, "There will never be any more elections held here." That's what Daniel Ortega snapped in Nicaragua. And that line hit me like a brick because that is where this poison goes when socialists quit pretending. You've got Van Jones admitting the far left wants communist takeovers of key industries, Hassan Piker glorifying Mao, and Linda Sarsour taking a wrecking ball to the Declaration of Independence. And while that filth spreads, David Hogg cheers a youth socialist takeover inside the Democrat Party. This is your vote, your paycheck, your kids, your country. And Trump, he saw it cold. In breaking now from Washington, near record tungsten prices are intensifying focus on America's defense metals gap as Washington rebuilds the critical mineral supply chain. Tungsten is now a national security priority, used in fighter jets, tanks, missiles, drones, and ammunition, yet the United States has seen no U.S. commercial tungsten mining since 2015. President Trump's Project Vault includes a $12 billion strategic stockpile and $30 billion domestic production push, while the Pentagon has directed millions towards restarting U.S. tungsten production. Vault Strategic Mining is advancing historic tungsten assets in mining-friendly U.S. jurisdictions, including proven former mines in Nevada's Great Basin, a historically productive tungsten region tied to a defense-related exploration contract in the Second World War and approximately 10,000 feet of drilling. USGS estimates roughly 168,000 tons of tungsten oxide with estimated in-ground value of $30 to $50 billion. They're trading as KNOX in Canada and KNXFF in the United States. If you'd like to find out more, check out the Next News intelligence briefing that's been prepared for you. You'll find it linked below. Now, David Hogg enters the chat demanding, quote, "young people like Melat and Zoran lead the party." He didn't hide the takeover. He applauded it on camera while Van Jones was panicking about the very same machine. And that split screen tells you everything. And the tweets we've got next make it even uglier. Here's CNN's Van Jones blasting the socialist Democrats. This is a Fox News clip here.
I am tired of a set of people on the very far left in the Democratic Party. Ideas that are literally insane, nutty, moronic, dangerous, bigoted, are not progressive. They're regressive, and they should not be in our party.
I'm not living in communist America. I mean, I know the talking point is that, well, it's not communism, it's socialism. Okay, I've read the quotes from the DSA platform, from their own mouths. Don't tell me I'm not seeing what I am seeing. They say things like, you know, takeover of key industries, government. That's communism.
And this comes amid reports of tension between Bernie Sanders and Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader personally calling the socialist senator, telling him to stop meddling in Democratic primaries. But Sanders wasn't taking his orders. Over the weekend, Bernie teamed up with far-left Michigan Senate candidate Abdul El-Sayed for a campaign rally that was a doozy. Watch here.
Brothers and sisters, let me tell you, change is coming. Progressives have been defeating establishment candidates all across America. Now, brothers and sisters, the entire country is watching this election, so there's an enormous responsibility on your shoulders.
Harold, you have made a point for many.
So Van Jones saying the far-left ideas inside his own party are insane and anti-American. Now watch former DNC Vice Chair David Hogg do the opposite and cheer on the socialist takeover.
Do we want a party that is old, rich, and out of touch? Or do we want a party led by young people like Melat and Zoran? Do we want a party that's led by cowards or a party that's led by truly courageous leaders who, when they are voting, ask themselves, well, which special interest is this going to piss off? Because I really don't want AIPAC to spend $1 million against me in my primary, or for Lockheed Martin to not give me my $5,000 corporate PAC check, but instead ask themselves, what is the right fucking thing to do?
Wow. David Hogg openly pushing younger radicals to take the wheel. And in Minnesota, the same Democrat infighting spills into the open as Keith Ellison gets heckled at his own rally. Nick Sortor capturing this. Radical left Minnesota AG Keith Ellison being heckled by Democrats at a Democrat rally. Quote, Keith Ellison, shame on you, shame. The Democrat Party is collapsing.
And so let me tell you, I used to be the congressperson for the 5th Congressional District. And when I decided to leave that job and become your Attorney General, and thank you for that, by the way, I worried, are we going to have somebody who is absolutely take no shit from anybody get into that job? Are we going to have somebody who Thank you. You know what? Let us. You come on, guys. Okay, I got you, brother. We're gonna let them have their moment. Thank you.
So it's not just Republicans calling out this anymore. Democrats are booing Democrats on camera. Next, look who they're still handing the mic to. Hasan Piker showing up in a Mao-style suit and firing up college Democrats. Hasan Piker dressed as Mao, brainwashing your kids at college. Left-wing streamer Hasan Piker facing backlash after speaking at the College Democrats of America convention while wearing a Mao-style suit.
No more to the Democrats who compromise, who conciliate, and who betray us. No more to the fascist reactionaries, but no more to the Democrats who will collaborate and cooperate with the fascists, who will fund ICE, who will fund Israel, who will help poison the planet, who will stiff workers and help bosses. We don't need those Democrats anymore. In fact,
after he was in Iran, how did he even get back in the country? That's my question. He should have been rejected at the border. So after the convention speech, the backlash gets worse. Here's why. Hasan Piker has already praised Mao as one of the great leaders of the world.
I got stopped by a cop who thought I was like making fun of Mao Zedong, which I never would and never will. Mao Zedong is one of the great leaders of this world, okay? A man who changed the entire universe, the entire planet.
How many did he kill?
Okay. For real, yes. I mean, there was a lot of fucking excesses, let's be real, but the People's Republic of China would not exist without Mao Zedong.
How many people did he execute, Hasan? That's the kind of communist hero worship getting applause on the left. Meanwhile, in Maine, Politico reports a DSA-backed candidate is now taking over a key Democrat Senate nomination fight. Politico says DSA's Troy Jackson has effectively secured the Maine Senate Democrat nomination. Jackson was endorsed by the DSA for governor, is best friends with Graham Plattner, committed mortgage fraud, and has allegations of throwing a bottle at a woman. So they know how to pick them up in Maine, don't they? Preferred delegates have won a majority of the seats at next week's nominating convention to replace Graham Plattner. So it's not fringe noise. It's moving into real races and real power. Next up, Linda Sarsour. Remember her? Takes it further with a call aimed straight at America's founding document.
This is the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. This is quote unquote America's birthday. And the question historically is going to be, what were we doing on the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence? Do we have the audacity to sit around and say that we want to build a document that is our values and our principles and bring millions of Americans around it? And so I see people on the streets. I see mutual aid efforts. I see young people running for office. I see people of color, marginalized people getting up and saying, I'm the leader that I've been waiting for, and seeing people rally around those leaders. And so don't give up hope, folks. There's more to come. We're going to survive this. And some of us are going to be on the fight back, and some of us are going to be on the other side waiting to catch you when we win, because there got to be other people that are going to be building the thing that you're going to come to once we win this fight back, because we will win, my friend. So keep your chin up, your head up. It is the blessed month of Ramadan right now, so I've had a lot of time to reflect on this.
Oh my goodness. So from attacking the Declaration of Independence, the left keeps showing you where the road leads. If you want to see the end game, look at Nicaragua, where a socialist dictator just said elections are finished for good. This is the warning. I had this translated for you. Communist dictator Daniel Ortega just ended elections forever. There will never be any more elections held here. And this is what happens when socialists seize power. Let them win here, and America gets the same fate. It is time to wake up.
Hiding in shadows, hoping to win elections so they can make some money out of the schools. But they can forget it. There will never be any more elections held here. No more elections will happen. For them to try and use as a way to seize power and rule. Absolutely. And we are going to work together with the National Assembly members and with all of the corresponding organizations, all the laws, because we must create the laws that will set up a wall, a barricade, against the coup plotters, against the sellouts, and no matter how much money the Yankees give them, they will fail.
That's the real warning. Socialism is to stop its slogans. It ends with power locked down and voters shut out. Now hear President Trump draw the line and call communism the greatest threat.
As we're seeing now, communism is the greatest threat to our country, including, I believe this, you know, when I said it, I said, boy, that's pretty severe, but I think it's true. It's the biggest threat to our country, including World War I, World War II, Pearl Harbor, September 11th. I think it's a bigger threat, potentially a bigger threat than that, because it's like a cancer that spreads, and you better stop it fast. We will never let the United States become a communist country. Won't happen.
So Trump making the threat plain, said America will never become a communist country. Next he goes a step further, saying he's been preparing his entire life for this fight. From Trump Daily Post, President Trump just declared he's been preparing his entire life to confront the rising communist movement in America. He said it's game on. Warned that communism has never succeeded as it relies on taking from those who have earned their success. The communists are finally making their move. I've been waiting and preparing for this for a long time. It's easy to be a communist. All you have to do is say, I'll give you everything. But that means you're taking it away from others that have earned it. Over thousands of years, that ideology has not worked once. The game is on. Enjoy watching. President Donald J. Trump. His own words. The fight is on, folks. So Hassan Piker wore a Mao-style suit at the College Democrats convention after praising Mao Zedong as one of the great leaders of this world. And that image slams the whole rotten puzzle together. Van Jones, David Hogg, Linda Sarsour, and the Democrat hard-left machine didn't stumble into this. They fed it, glamorized it. And now President Trump stands as the one man in Washington with the guts to crush it before America gets Nicaragua's ending. So Democrats need to answer for Van Jones' words right now by name. If their own CNN star says the party's ideas are insane, moronic, and dangerous, then every Democrat who boosted this garbage owns it. Hassan Piker praises Mao and struts into a college Democrats event like a mass murderer is a fashion statement. Linda Sarsour wants a new founding document. David Hogg cheers the takeover out loud. That's not fringe smoke anymore. That's the fire. So hit share, drop a comment, and put this in front of one person still pretending Trump exaggerated when he warned that communism spreads like cancer. He didn't exaggerate. He called it before the cowards in the media would say it. And now the game is on. And Van Jones cracking on air is exactly the kind of story that YouTube loves to bury. So text White House to 844-840-4963. Next News Network is inside the White House press pool. And we send the nightly insider read straight from your phone, straight to your phone from the building, ahead of the crowd, past the censors, and straight into your hands tonight. Okay. Moving right along. Thank you, Chris, for your $10. Appreciate that. Love it when I see the Super Chats come in. Okay, our next story is focusing on President Trump's executive order and some remarks from Caroline Leavitt, some accusations made against President Trump. So we're going to go ahead and jump into this. President Trump making his move. The date that you need to look at is January 1st, 2027. So President Trump with the new executive order we're going to get into right now. Excuse me. January 1st, 2027, Trump shuts off waivers for covered defense materials. Now let that sink in. He just snapped the China waiver cartel in half and told the Pentagon parasites the free pass ends here. And wait till you hear what contractors must hand over within 180 days. We're talking within 180 days, the Department of War must trace supply chains from raw materials to the end-use products. And that line stopped me because Trump just forced sunlight into the exact racket the bipartisan globalists and lazy defense contractors hid for years. Now look at what they did to us. They let China sit inside the guts of our arsenal, gutted factories in Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, and called it efficiency. Scott Bessent nailed it cold. Trade policy, industrial capacity, and national security are inseparable. Exactly. You cannot build the strongest military on Chinese leverage. That was insanity. And Trump is ending it. And breaking tonight, near record tungsten prices and new federal stockpile planning are intensifying focus on America's critical mineral supply chain. In Washington, tungsten is now a national security priority for fighter jets, tanks, missiles, drones, and ammunition. Yet the United States has seen no U.S. commercial tungsten mining since 2015. The president's Project Vault includes a $12 billion strategic stockpile with $30 billion in domestic production and millions towards restarting U.S. tungsten production. Vault Strategic Mining, trading as KNOX in Canada and KNXFF in the United States, is building a growing U.S. tungsten portfolio across mining-friendly U.S. jurisdictions, including Nevada's Great Basin, a historically productive tungsten region. The site carried a defense-related exploration contract in the Second World War and approximately 10,000 feet of drilling. USGS estimate roughly 168,000 tons of tungsten oxide, estimated in-ground value $30 to $50 billion. To find out more, check out the Next News intelligence briefing that's been prepared for you, linked below. So fraud by contractors triggers referral to the Attorney General for possible prosecution. So there it is. Trump didn't just bark at the cartel, he loaded consequences onto the executive order. You can feel the pain coming already. Now watch how the White House framed this move. This is the executive order that was just passed, securing America's defense supply chains and ensuring domestic acquisition of critical materials. I'm not going to go through everything here, but we'll give you the gist of it. By the authority vested in me as president, It is hereby ordered the United States military, most effective and powerful fighting force on the planet. I'll just make it a little bigger here. It fields the most advanced weapons systems, technologies, utilizing cutting-edge equipment to dominate the modern battlefield. To continue this dominance in an era of renewed great power competition, the United States must secure its supply chains against physical, cyber, and economic subversion. It is the policy of the United States that not only the finished equipment deployed by our military, but also the critical minerals and components necessary to manufacture, maintain, sustain, and repair that equipment are sourced domestically or from allied nations. Despite the long-standing prohibition on the use of sensitive materials sourced from geopolitical adversaries, defense contractors have historically under-prioritized domestic production and resilience. My administration will act to ensure that the statutory requirements of 10 U.S.C. 4872 are strictly observed and result in resilient domestic and allied supply chains. So the executive order continues. It's quite vast, in fact. Now, look at all, this is huge. So this is the executive order that's just been released, and it shuts down the easy waiver game and tells contractors, find American or allied sources fast. Now, Senator Dave McCormick jumps in saying Trump is putting American workers at the center of military readiness. America should never depend on foreign adversaries for the critical minerals that power our military. POTUS signed in order to bring those supply chains home and put American workers at the center of keeping our forces ready to defend America. So he's framing this as basic common sense, no dependence on foreign adversaries for the materials behind our weapons. Next, the White House hammers the same point with his own message about keeping the U.S. military on the strongest on earth. Trump is acting to maintain America's military dominance and keep the U.S. military the strongest equipped in the world. Posting to the fact sheet on the new executive order to secure America's defense supply chain in ensuring domestic acquisition of materials. So the White House is selling this as a direct move to protect military dominance. Up next, the official fact sheet lays out the mechanics, tighter waiver limits, supply chain mapping, and pressure on contractors. Here's the fact sheet. President Trump secures America's defense supply chains and ensures domestic acquisition. Trump signed the executive order to secure America's defense supply chain, particularly for critical materials and components used in cutting-edge military equipment. The order limits waivers for critical materials from covered nations, directs the Department of War to initiate regulatory action for comprehensive supply chain mapping, and encourages defense contractors to qualify new domestic sources of critical material. The action aims to ensure America's continued military dominance and restore its strength and readiness. So that's the official White House readout. The framework is clear, fewer loopholes, more tracing, more made in America inputs for defense. Florida's Voice takes a step further, tying the order to aluminum action and tariffs on China. The executive action to boost defense supply chain, boost domestic aluminum, and impose tariffs on Canada. I said China before, my bad. Despite the long-standing prohibition on the use of sensitive materials sourced from geopolitical adversaries, defense contractors have historically under-prioritized domestic production and resilience. That's a direct quote from the executive order. So that's the broader package around defense materials, aluminum, and tariffs. Next, the Washington Times zeroes in on the China piece, saying Trump is ordering the government to make sure contractors aren't hooked on adversaries for critical minerals. Trump signed the executive order requiring the federal government to ensure national security contractors are not dependent on adversaries like China for critical materials. The directive orders the Department of Defense, the Department of War, to map out and protect its supply chains. Now listen to Scott Bessent connect the dots between tariffs, industrial capacity, and national security at a Reagan Institute speech.
Trade policy, industrial capacity, and national security are inseparable. And to allow foreign dependencies to degrade any one of these domains is to allow them to define America's future. We told ourselves that so long as goods were cheaper overseas, it did not matter whether factories went dark in Michigan, Ohio, or Pennsylvania. We assumed that supply chains would always function smoothly and adversaries would always behave responsibly, and the invisible hand would correct vulnerabilities that too few in public life had the courage to confront. Beneath every one of those mistakes lay a more basic failure in our philosophy. In reducing economics to consumption, we forgot production. We measured abundance at the checkout counter rather than at the factory gate. We talked about GDP, but not enough about its composition. And we prized low-cost inputs without first asking whether a nation can remain sovereign when it loses command over the things that matter most. A country cannot outsource its industrial commons, ignore strategic concentration, and expect to remain secure. For manufacturing is more than output on a balance sheet, it is a reservoir of practical capability. Engineers and welders, tool and die makers, and logistic networks, plant managers and workers who know how to solve problems on the factory floor. When the ecosystem is strong, a country can adapt quickly.
So his argument is simple and tough. Cheap foreign input came with the national security bill America couldn't afford. Meanwhile, Democrats try to change the subject, with Jon Ossoff launching accusations over a Kazakhstan tungsten deal. This is from Senator Ossoff's own account. Last September, the president of Kazakhstan calls Donald Trump and says he wants to grant tungsten mining rights to an American company. The very next month, Eric and Don Jr. get a stake in the American company pursuing the mining deal.
Listen to this. Last September, the president of Kazakhstan calls Donald Trump and says he wants to grant tungsten mining rights to an American company. And the very next month, Eric and Don Jr. get a stake in the American company pursuing the mining deal. 6 days later, 6 days after Prince Eric and Prince Don get their stake, Kazakhstan announces this company will get, quote, the largest known undeveloped tungsten resource in the world. A few more weeks go by. And then the US government, run by their father, sets aside $1.6 billion of your tax dollars to fund and finance their mining project in Kazakhstan. All this while you pay more for gas, for groceries, for healthcare. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Billions from foreign princes.
You get the point, right? So he's throwing mud over Kazakhstan, trying to pin it on the Trump family. Next, watch how that line gets pressed in the briefing room, where Maggie Haberman asked Caroline Leavitt what the president knew and when.
Caroline, welcome back. Thanks. Last year, the administration signed a critical minerals deal, mining deal with Kazakhstan for a little-known U.S. company. It was an agreement that President Trump and Howard Lutnick got tentative approval for with Kazakhstan's president in September. 6 days before the deal was signed, which was in November, the president's older sons with other partners took a 20% investment in a company related to the deal. What did the president know about his son's involvement in this arrangement, and when did he find out about it?
From my understanding, Maggie, nothing. I've spoken to the president and his family about this. They would absolutely never do anything that would put the president in a place of a conflict of interest. And we have timelines to give you and to provide you, which we did to the news media at the time when this story broke, to prove that very point that I just made.
Sorry, just 1 second. So the president did not learn about it until it was in the media? That was when he found out?
That's my understanding of the matter, yes.
So the White House flatly rejects the conflict story and says Trump knew nothing about his son's stake until it hit the media. Now the bigger supply push at home, where Doug Burgum says Alaska drilling and critical mineral mining are surging.
I mean, that's how big Alaska is across this incredible state, with touching not even 1/10% of the surface. You can get at so many mining opportunities in this enormous, broad, beautiful state. And there's one, Ambler Road, we're going to be there in a couple days, where President Trump assigned the authority to build a 211-mile road that goes into an area that there are over 1,700 mining claims that have been undeveloped because there was no road infrastructure. And building that road is going to allow that development to occur across a number of key critical minerals.
So after hearing about Alaska and the drive to mine critical minerals here at home, the left predictably melts down. Next, now this attacks Trump's move to open millions of acres in Utah to fossil fuel extraction and mining. Now this, Trump signed an executive order slashing 2 national monuments in Utah by more than 90%. That means 3 million acres of formerly protected land will now be open to fossil fuel extraction and mining. Good. Good. I'm tired of national monuments blocking our ability to be prosperous nations. That's just another level of communism right there.
Sign. This is very nice. I'm very happy about this. And better than the first time. Okay, here's number 1. Almost 3 million acres. Going to be well taken care of now. Okay. Penn, who should I give this to? Huh? Maybe the governor's representative, right?
Trade policy, industrial capacity, and national security are inseparable. That's what the Treasury Secretary said, and Trump turned that sentence into policy by killing the January 1st, 2027 waiver game, forcing full supply chain maps and putting fraud cases on track to the Attorney General, which means the bipartisan globalist class and the defense contractor cartel do not get to stuff Chinese dependence into America's weapons and call it normal. Defense contractors, the Pentagon bureaucracy, and every China-addicted boardroom in Washington just got their deadline, January 1st, 2027. That is the demand now. Comply or get crushed. Trump is not nibbling around the edges here. He's hammering shut one of the ugliest scams in modern government, where America's military got built with foreign choke points while American towns got hollowed out. Now, share this with one person who still thinks supply chains are just boring paperwork, because let's look at this order again. 180-day mapping from raw materials to end products, waiver crackdowns, and fraud referrals to the Attorney General. That is enforcement. And that is a president who names the weakness and smashes it. So drop your take in the comments. Should any contractor tied to Chinese sourcing lose every federal dollar? And that January 1st, 2027 crackdown is exactly the kind of White House story the platforms love to smother. So text White House to 844-840-4963. Next News Network is credentialed inside the White House, and our nightly insider dispatches come straight from the building to your phone. First, direct, and clear before YouTube buries the trail. So that is a wrap tonight. Make sure you head on over to our X channel or our YouTube channel and look at the interview that we just uploaded about dissecting those remarks from the Treasury Secretary with respect to Fort Knox and sound money. A very intriguing conversation. And most importantly, though, I think, is this deadline that's coming up on Friday. Major moves in China that I think are going to rock the precious metals markets with their big move. So make sure you watch that. It is absolutely critical, and it is time sensitive. And it's on the channel right now. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight on Between the Headlines with yours truly, Gary Franchi, your White House correspondent for the Next News Network. It's been a great night. It's only Tuesday, and tomorrow morning I'm having breakfast with somebody. And I'm still not sure if I'm allowed to even disclose who that person is. But we've already got the menu ready, and our seats are reserved. And you guys will be the first to hear about it. If you're following me on X or at our YouTube channel, I'll make a post there. I'll make a post on the community tab on YouTube. And maybe I'll even get to cut a short. I don't know. We'll see. I think there's going to be some big news regarding 2028, but maybe that could be premature. I don't know. So anyway, that'll be breaking tomorrow, if I'm allowed to disclose it. But I guess I'll just have to keep teasing you. Yeah, I hate keeping secrets from you guys. But that's why we have this channel. We break the secrets, we pull the curtain back, we reveal the news, we destroy the narratives, but we can only do it with your help. You guys are the true source of our power here. Me, my team, we work day in and day out to break down the news, to bring you the stories that matter so you can have information at your disposal to fire off those truth bullets and crush the fake news media every single day. So keep sharing, keep texting your friends, keep reposting, and keep telling your friends about the Next News Network. Until tomorrow, I'm Gary Franchi for the Next News Network.